That's a good point, Mike. That's a good point. You
Thanks.
got one or two. So
That's one. So
I want to get some things out there.
He's got one
got
left.
another 45 minutes to get one more in.
So I had heard that gay people like children. Is that true?
No.
Okay, that's not true. Okay, there's one myth. Second one, do you have cooties?
Not that I know of.
All right. And the third one is, did you have AIDS?
No.
Okay. You missed the whole 80s AIDS thing. It was a gay disease, and don't go near gay people. They all got AIDS. And that was what was commonly thought. And these are the conversations that need to happen so people can get rid of that ignorance.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down. Let's talk about the suffering. It's time to start the pain. Sit your ass down. Sit your ass down and strap in. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Let's talk about the suffering. It's time to start the pain. This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
What are the factors that you would expect to be an interference with the duties of your job? Possibly you can't comprehend the scope of work, or disability may limit your action. The definitions given for appearance, gender, orientation give no limitations to the capabilities that you can perform. Society likes to put others in categories to make it easier for them to accept their own preconceptions about how a job should be performed. It takes an enormous amount of work to break these molds and show that a success or failure in any job has less to do with the characteristic or the physical, but rather on the mental limitations that we put on ourselves. We are limited only by what we have set in our mind as an internal governor to achieving what we really want. If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. I'm Kevin Donaldson here with Mike Failace, and on this episode of the Suffering Podcast, we sit down with Marc Hettinger to discuss the suffering of a gay firefighter. So that sort of gives away what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, there's no hiding this one.
No hiding this one. We've come out of the closet with the name of this one.
At least Mike just did.
I've been waiting for that for a long time. But the funny thing about Marc is it's less about doing your job, which should be the most important thing, and more about everybody sort of makes it about who you are. And I think that's really bad. And Marc brought his fiance, I guess is the proper term.
Yeah.
Nick, we met for the first time, and Nick's over there. He's like, what the fuck is this?
A little quiet.
shit?
You can say hello. It's all right.
Please don't ask
We'll
me a
get
question.
there.
Thank you so much for coming in today. Because
Mark is like family to our podcast.
yes, well, why don't you tell everybody who your sister?
Sister, yeah. My sister was on
I had to
your
think about that one.
Yeah, there you go. What was that, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago?
Oh, God. Ashley was on, it's probably like 2 months ago now.
Really? All right. Yeah, so my sister was on a few months ago talking about her suffering.
Yeah, and that was the suffering of a transgender, which was an interesting, it really was an educating experience for me. Because I had a lot of questions. The whole thing could have been just me asking questions like, what do you do here? How do you tuck it back? What do you do?
We did talk about tucking it, though.
Yeah, I was like, how do you do that? Like, I was curious about it. Like, what? It's got to be humongous if you're going to tuck it back all that way.
Or if it is humongous, does it come all the way up your back? Go ahead.
Before we get into anything,
Enough about
Excited over
Ashley.
there.
before we get into anything, let's get into this week's social media question, and it comes from Ron. Ron's asking is, what is a way to stop discrimination? But what I think Ron is getting to is, if you had carte blanche to make policy, what do you think would be something that you would put into play in order to stop discrimination?
I don't know if there's a way to stop it. It's been here since the beginning of time, and I think it's going to be here till the end. The only thing we can do is discipline it.
You know, it goes both ways, too, with discrimination, because the gay community does discriminate, and they discriminate against me, and I feel very, very beat down by it. No, there's truth to it. You see the way I look, and believe it or not, I'm extremely open-minded. Hey, you guys do you, I'll do me. Whatever you want to do behind closed doors is up to you. Don't do it in public, because I don't like when a male-female kiss and make out in public, and I don't want to see two guys kissing out, or maybe two girls.
See, that's
Everyone wants to see
discrimination
that.
now.
There you go. You just discriminated.
You just discriminated.
My point was, is when most gay men meet me for the first time, and I had neighbors, twin boys were gay, they're very standoffish towards me. And I don't know whether it's just the way I look. They're judging me on what they think I am. Oh, this guy's he's a Republican, and he's gun-toting and stuff like this. He's gonna hate me. He's gonna beat me up. When it couldn't be more polar opposite.
I think you're just hanging out with the wrong crowd.
It could be.
If I took you out, you'd be fresh meat, buddy. You ain't bad.
Take them down to Feathers in Hackensack.
Nah, that's not a place. We got a place to take
How do
him.
you know where that is?
I used to work in Hackensack, right?
I'm tired of paying for drinks all night, so maybe it wouldn't be such a... You sell a pretty good product there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've said for years, because women can agitate the shit out of us, and Michael attests to this, I just can't get over that. Like, that's my one thing I can't get over. But this is what
Hey, you want to run your car on a brick wall? Go for it.
But this is the kind of conversations that people need to have, and this is why it's important for us to have you on here. Being a first responder, being a firefighter, you're going to get our humor. I'm going to speak to you the same way I speak to everybody else, because I don't have that discrimination bone in my body. I'm curious about certain things that you have to go through and certain suffering that you have to go through. But I'm gonna laugh with you. I'm gonna joke around with you, and I'm gonna sit down and have an honest conversation, as long as I'm not offensive and coming from a place of hate.
No.
Would you agree with that?
100%.
See, that's the problem now, too, with comedy, because you can't joke about anything because everybody gets offended by it. Political correctness is ruining this world. If you have any kind of racist tone in you, that's when you get mad at a joke.
True, because there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Archie Bunker we were just talking about it the other day. All in the Family was one of the funniest shows ever.
Right. But
because they weren't racist.
if it's said to you without hate, it's a statement. It's a
And if it's said to you behind your back, then it's hate.
Right.
If I say it to your face, it's not hate.
If I were to sit there and speak to both of you in a different fashion because you're gay men, that would make me just as guilty as somebody who, in my mind, somebody who speaks out openly and tries to change policy because they don't understand what lifestyle you lead. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, like Mike said, it depends on the context. Is the statement or the phrase coming at you in a hateful way, or is it coming at you in a friendly, playful, don't understand, so I'm making a joke out of it kind of way?
Mike and I, we've been friends for quite a while now, so I'll make fun of certain...
Let's use that term loosely. We've known each other for quite a while.
I will make fun of certain attributes on him that the stranger off the street couldn't do. If we didn't know each other and, I made an offensive comment to you, you would definitely take it differently. But because we've had some sort of interaction on the phone, text messages, emails, and when you came in here, there's a level of comfort that has to be given.
Yeah. You have to understand the person you're dealing with, no matter what their orientation or gender or expression is.
But you don't fit the stereotypical markers. Let's put it that way.
No, I confuse a lot of people,
and that's why it's important for us to have you in here, because you're in a profession that is
male dominated, macho.
Yeah, that's sort of looked down on, and people have to be closeted because they're afraid of that backlash when it comes to that stuff. And I think it's wrong. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. It's wrong. Are you a good firefighter? That's all I need to know.
Try your best.
Yeah, you try your best. So why don't you give our audience a little bit of window into who you are and where you've been.
So I've been a fireman for 22 years now, an EMT for about 20. I volunteer for a tactical medical team. I'm a fire inspector.
Tactical medical team.
Yeah, we
Thames.
Yeah, tactical EMS. We prior to
for like mass casualty incidents.
Yeah,
and
prior
like
to all this active shooter stuff, we started back in 2011-ish, and we would stage forward for events, high-profile events. In case there was an incident, there'd be a medical team on site, and our team goes from doctor all the way down to EMT.
So as far as triage, stuff like that, you'd have to get involved with. Active shooter, from a police standpoint, it's the most counterintuitive thing ever, because you're walking into an active shooter, they tell you, if your partner gets shot, leave him. Which, think about that as being a firefighter. Your buddy goes down, falls, you'd have to leave him. I know you wouldn't, but...
It's a different mindset, and I envy all the officers that have to go through it.
Our SWAT team was taught different, though. If you go into an active shooter in a school and you see a student down, you go past that student. if an officer, fellow officer is down, you get him to safety.
When did that come in?
That's how our team did it.
That's how your team did it. But that was because I was taught the protocol was a little different.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of got their own standard, their own operating guidelines.
Yeah.
A couple of people I work with, it's identify, triage the injury, and keep moving forward. So like if you can drop a tourniquet and the officer can take care of himself, keep the operation moving.
But how are you going to keep your head straight if you see one of your fallen brothers or sisters laying there, and now you're going to leave them laying there and go on? You're not going to have the right mindset.
I don't know whether I could do it.
It's tough. I don't envy you guys for having to make those decisions.
No, we don't have to make those anymore.
Thank God we
Long
don't
gone.
have to make them anymore. We can sit back and Monday morning quarterback the whole thing. That's the joy of what we do here. So you've been doing this. Where'd you grow up?
Closter.
Closter?
Northern Bergen
That's
County.
right. I should know that. I keep forgetting we know Ashley.
They're like this, Kev.
It's
Upper Bergen County.
It's Upper Bergen. Yeah, it's a whole
We
Bergen.
were west of the tracks.
That's what Ashley says, but there is no poor sections of Bergen County. There's no ghetto.
Now, once you get up past Route 4, north of Route 4, that's where the rich people start. I'm from from Lower Bergen County.
I don't see a whole lot of projects in Bergen County.
Don't worry, we're 4 houses north of 4.
So there you go.
Nick, where are you from?
I'm from Rockland County.
You're from Rockland. Oh, you're a New York boy. You're like by Orange County Choppers.
No.
No, that's
Rockland County.
Is
Well,
that
that's Orange
That's
County.
that's Orange
County.
County?
No,
I
it's
was
something.
close to Orange County.
It's something new. Orange County Choppers is actually in Orange County.
Oh,
You know,
such a dick.
there's a Rockland County Choppers in Rockland County. I
Where's
just
that
wanted-
freaking wig? Put that wig on, so we can just sit there and stare at you all night. Oh God!
I mean, it's something new. It just started. But go ahead.
And now you're living in Jersey.
Just over a year.
So what's better, New York or New Jersey?
New York.
New York. Well, you're from upstate New York, so what I know.
I wouldn't call it upstate if I were you.
No, that's
It's not upstate.
But I know there's a difference when you say somebody's from New York. You have to differentiate between New York City. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then they become really offended. No, we're not from New York City.
Nope, from the suburbs.
So obviously we have you here for a reason,
Yes, sir.
and I'm more interested. Is this being gay? Was it? Did you just get the idea one day?
Nah, you kind of know.
Or like everybody says, is it a choice?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's a choice. You know, my grandfather was real old school. He was but he had a very open mind when it came to stuff like this. He used to tell me, and this, you got to remember, this is the 80s, so the atmosphere was much different than it was today. He always told me that, he goes, don't ever discriminate against gay people, because if you think it's a choice, it's gonna be a very difficult lifestyle moving forward, especially in the 80s. Why would you choose to make your life more difficult?
Yeah.
It can't be a choice. And the other thing he told me is don't ever get into a fight with a gay guy because they've been fighting their whole lives and they'll kick your ass. That's exactly what he told me. And he goes, it's a no-win situation.
You're a little taller now. You got a little bit of an advantage.
He says it's a no-win situation because if you win, you beat up a gay guy. If you lose, you got your ass kicked by a gay guy.
That's what I tell everybody. You really want to see a gay guy kick your butt?
That's why I say that about Star Wars fans, because I'm a Star Wars fan. A Star Wars fan will kick your ass up and down. But anyway, so like when did you get this inkling that you knew?
As far back as I can remember.
Tell me what
Just
was
feel
going on there.
different.
Feel different. I don't think you feel different. That's just you're normal, where you're pushing against.
Right, you feel normal, and you're being persuaded to be what people consider the norm, and you're just outside that norm. So you feel like a little disconnect as you grow up.
You're being almost pushed into what would be the common,
The stereotypical.
this stereotypical
You were
male growing up.
You were given toys. You were given trucks instead of Barbies.
I preferred the trucks.
You prefer, sorry, of course, but that's a stereotype. That
Yeah.
really is a stereotype. Oh, he's a gay little boy. We got to give him dolls and we got to dress him up. No, we don't. We absolutely don't. They're boys just like everybody else.
Yeah, there's no difference. Just your orientation.
But you have a very interesting family background that's got a whole different wrinkle to it.
Yeah. Yep.
Your mother and father had 3 boys.
Yeah.
3 boys.
Yep.
And only one of them is straight.
No. Well,
Not
yes.
anymore. Yeah, see, this is
That's a hang up on our end too.
This is where it gets tricky.
this is where the lines become very
10
blurred.
minutes in, that didn't take long.
The lines. So
He's
Ashley
going for a new record.
Ashley is a transgender
Correct.
who likes women, so she is now gay.
Correct. Lesbian.
She's lesbian. She's a lesbian, and you have a brother who's
I
gay.
have a
as
middle
well.
brother who's also gay. Lives in Philly.
Was there like certain kind of paint you used in your house?
No, it's the water.
I blame
it's
the
the
tap.
water
Yeah,
in
I
Upper
blame
Bergen
the, I
County.
blame the tap water.
Oh, that's why you're gay.
See, now that's fucked up. Here we go.
You're from Bergen County.
I said in Closter, north of Route 4.
Oh,
Don't worry,
okay.
our water makes its way down to you.
But it had to be difficult trying to figure this out when you see the other boys in your class going, getting girlfriends. Did you ever try?
Oh yeah, I had several girlfriends growing up.
Yeah.
It was
How's
fun.
that make you feel, Nick?
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat.
Oh, you are?
Apparently, I had 3 girlfriends at once. I didn't even know.
Very nice.
Good for you.
See, that's why we gotta start hanging around these guys.
No.
Oh,
We
we make
just-
really good wingmen.
We just get the shrapnel and we're all right. But what was it like when you? At what age did you finally accept it?
I want to say in my teenage years. So in high school, I had a friend in high school who was openly gay, and he got it every day. At the end of the day, he'd get his butt kicked. He started the first alliance in the school. It wasn't popular back then.
Well, how old are you?
I just turned 40.
Okay, so
Just turned 40.
you're of the same generation.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not I guess you're Gen X. Because millennials view it, they got a little easier time, but somebody had to pay.
Yeah, I'm on. I
pave the
think
way.
the years lay out. I'm on the border of both generations.
Yeah.
But so I kind of kept my head down and just avoided the subject because the spotlight was all on my friend, the other individual.
Did you feel bad for him?
Yeah,
And think that maybe I should step up, because I'm feeling the same way he is?
Didn't know how to back then.
Yeah.
It was the climate was still a lot different.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking mid '90s.
2000, yeah.
2000?
Actually, no, 98 to 99, 2000. I graduated in 01.
In 01. Yeah. So it's even
Because
then.
it really wasn't socially acceptable back then.
No, there were no safe spaces. There were no clubs, organizations. It was you were on your own back then.
And how did you navigate those waters?
I don't know. The firehouse. The firehouse kept me on a straight and narrow path.
I knew he was going to say straight and narrow.
Yeah, I know.
Straight.
The firehouse kept me straight.
Throwing up softballs for you again.
This
could be fun.
Do your schoolwork, keep your grades up. They guided me. Where my parents where my parents stopped and the civic or the social side started. They were there to keep me on the same path that my parents had me on. So kept my grades up as best I can. Because if your grades dropped, you couldn't be at the firehouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
I started the firehouse at 16.
What's that, like a junior fireman type thing?
Junior, probie, then you
Yeah.
become a level 1, and you keep moving up.
Now, you said you always knew. What? Talk to me about how you always knew. It was, did you see guys on TV? I know when we were young, we'd see girls on TV. I'm like, wow, he's just kind of hot. Is that what it was like?
In my younger days, it was kind of like both sexes were attractive.
Yeah.
I didn't really care whether it was male or female. If you were attractive, you were attractive.
Okay.
And then as I got older and I started understanding more, learning more, getting involved more, then my interest swayed more to the gay side.
Okay. So did you eventually had to have your first boyfriend? Was it in high school?
Yeah. I dated on and off. Couple friends here or there.
Yeah. I mean, not being technically closeted, correct? Is that the term?
Yeah.
Okay. How does that conversation start? It's like, hey, you want to show me mine? You show you, that type
I said,
of
was it more like exploring?
It was no different than when you were kids. How did you pick up a girl back then?
Do you like me?
Yeah, I mean,
Check the box, yes or no.
that's it. I mean, our generation had to. You did it with a look, man. You can't tell me you never walked into a bar, looked across the room, gave a girl a look, and 10 minutes later you're talking.
Do you see his face? He gives a girl a look like that, she's running for the door.
That's why I asked your look. I mean, we had to use.
Well, they used to call it, Gaydar.
yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. We
Guys have Gaydar. They know when guys are gay.
your generation. We had to use social cues.
Yeah.
These kids today, it's yes, no, and text message.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And now you can boop your phones together and see if you get each other's information.
yeah, well, they got it easier. But again, like I said, your generation and our generation had to pave the way in order for them to have life a little bit easier. But that's always the way that it goes. When the onset, and I want to. There's been gay individuals and lesbian individuals since the beginning of time, but certain cultures it was more socially acceptable, to be. I think the French used to call them foppish, or during Revolutionary War they used to call them foppish people or dandies or something like that. They would have different terminologies for them, but it was okay to wear a wig. It was okay to wear makeup, to, I guess, exude your sexuality. And then for some reason I want to say in the 1800s, early 1900s, being gay was just, nope, you don't do that. It was, I guess, the whole religious movement and stuff like that. It was just something that wasn't acceptable.
This goes back to the cooties conversation we had.
Well, you know what? That's a good point, Mike. That's a good point. You got one or two. So
That's one. So
I want to get some things out there.
He's got one
I
left.
got another 45 minutes to get one more in.
So what I had heard that gay people like children. Is that true?
No.
Okay, that's not true. Okay, there's one myth. Second one, do you have cooties?
Not that I know of.
All right, and the third one is, did you have AIDS?
No.
Okay. You missed the whole 80s AIDS thing. It was a gay disease, and don't go near gay people. They all got AIDS, and that was what was commonly thought. And these are the conversations that need to happen so people can get rid of that ignorance.
Yeah. It's closed-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the real turn of that is when Magic Johnson came down with AIDS?
He was one of them. Tommy Gunn, or Tommy Morrison. He had him, and Greg Scarpa, the mafia captain, he got it. All of a sudden, it's just not for gay men anymore.
No, I think the table is the seesaw is swaying there, because there's now meds to prevent it.
Yeah, you can live a long.
Prevent it.
Yeah, I did see that commercial.
Yeah,
that's. But it still comes down to you shouldn't have promiscuous sex.
right.
Whether you're gay, straight, or somewhere in between. You shouldn't have promiscuous sex because there's other diseases out there.
Correct.
Stuff that lasts a long time. He's probably got 4 or 5 of them.
I plead the fifth. Had.
So the first time that you had an experience, a gay experience or homosexual experience, and let's forgive me for not having the right terminology.
Yeah, you're good.
I don't know. Did it just feel like, yeah, this is it? This is
it felt the same as yours.
No, what I'm well, listen, the first time I kissed a girl, I'm like, yeah, this is right.
Right.
This is
The
feels
old
normal.
Proverbial fireworks going off.
Right.
He's reliving those first moments.
Yeah, exactly. It was only a couple of weeks ago.
Look at him. You beat me to it. But it was because you had said you had girlfriends before. Did that feel wrong?
No, it felt the same.
It felt the same.
The feeling inside you is you prefer one more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't prefer one at all.
Nick, was that the same with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the same. Is that common amongst the gay community? I know all you guys know each other, just like all cops know each other. All the gay people know. Is that true?
I wouldn't think so. I went different.
That's another myth. Right there, that was a fourth myth.
Everyone's experience is different. Yeah. The times have changed, so things are more acceptable. They're not. We're not where we need to be as a society yet. But where I had to hide things, the younger generation doesn't. Because like you said, we've paved the way. So they don't have to have that first kiss in private or in secrecy. They can explore and feel more comfortable.
The problem that I have is the pushing of sexuality either way on really young people before they start to have those feelings. I don't prefer it. Like my 9-year-old got taught this stuff in class, and I wasn't in agreement with it. I'm not in agreement with them learning human sexuality in general at that age.
I agree with them letting children know it's out there, that you may feel this way one day.
There's gay, straight, heterosexual, there's transgender, and say these are the things, but that should be the extent of it. Defining terms.
Let them know what's out there.
Listen, I could be a dinosaur when it comes to thinking like this. I really do.
I don't have the statistics with me,
Mm-hmm.
but we both volunteer for GLSEN, which is a educational. It's a LGBT educational group that helps create safe spaces in schools. We help get information and material out to teachers and educators, stuff like that. And I think the age for your first sexual experience is down to that age group.
Don't tell me that.
If you look up the statistics, it's down there. They're experimenting at that young of an age.
But that's something they can find out on their own without it. It just seems very forced to me. I think that's the problem. It seems very forced. Like we have to get this out there because we have to show how woke we are. We have to show how progressive we are. I don't necessarily believe that.
It's tough. If they're going to start experimenting at that age, do you want them to have some guidance and some knowledge, or do you want them to just learn on their own without it? It's a tough, and especially as a father, it's even tougher.
Ultimately, it's the parent's job. It's the parents' job to do that. Like my kids, I'm very liberal on what I let them watch. You know, hey, listen, you watch, you got some questions, and that it sparks discussion. Is what you want.
Yeah,
it sparks discussion. It's very the way I grew up is you weren't allowed to watch anything that was a little bit risque on TV. Of course, we did. You know, but we had to deal with scrambled porn channels. That's what we had to. Is that an elbow or a boob?
The antennas on your TV?
Is that an elbow or a
rabbit ears? You know, you had a rabbit ear with the little thing you click and you move there.
It didn't really matter what you were looking at. You do, yeah, it's a boob. It's a boob. It could be a knee, but it's a boob. But it's a scary thing, and I'm not getting into. I'm just telling you the way that I feel.
No,
and
appreciate that.
I'm always willing to have my mind open. You make a good point. Is if they're experimenting at that age, maybe it's time for the parents to choose whether they want to have that discussion or not.